run for some canning supplies today. I've been doing lots and lots of canning at home. I've been learning a lot, watching a lot of videos, studying a lot, going to the federal guideline websites, researching, downloading a lot of PDFs and things like that. Of course, I'm Cuban. So in Cuba, we don't can foods. I was never taught to can foods. I don't know if my grandmother ever did anything like that during the Depression or whatever. But, because I mean, we always grew it. My family had a farm, so they grew their own stuff. But for me, it makes sense now that I'm harvesting a product that I could also put some stuff away for other times when I can't grow those fruits and vegetables, right? So I bought a canner, and this is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. All those videos are coming. I'm going to be taking you through my semi-off-grid walk with God, who is taking me down this path for several months. He's been taking me down this physical path of acclimating myself to less in the world. But I don't plan on leaving, and I'm not going to the woods or anything like that. So I'll talk about all of that in my video. Oh, by the way, I'm preparing the blessings video, so that's coming up. It'll be sometime this week. I'm just not working on stress anymore. I'm trying to be as less stressful, and it just kind of like, when he leads me to something, I research it, I take my time, and I study it, and I'm sit with it for a while, because I want to make sure that it completes. It comes from my spirit, it comes from the things that he wants me to say. Because if I'm on timeline crunches, there are things that get left out, and there's always more things that I want to say. So if I do one video a week, it's fine with me. Because to me, the important thing is that what I need to say comes out completely, and there's nothing left behind. And those time crunches that Google imposes on people, it's just not going to work for me anymore. I mean, I can pretty much say that I'm not going to reach ever 100,000 subscribers. If I even get to like half what I had before, it's going to be, incredibly strange if that happens. But I'm just here to say what I want to say, speak God's word, and really enjoy being with a lot of you who have been with me for such a long time, since the beginning of my channel, and you've been on this journey with me as well. So it brings me a lot of happiness to be able to connect with you in that way as well, to know that you're still following me, watching my journey as I progress in life through this journey. Sorry. My other phone, this is the phone, but it's a little too heavy for this thing, so whatever. Anyway, so I did read this morning, and I'll post it here and I'll read it here because I'm driving, of course, so I can't do it. So I'll cut this in. I'm going to cut in now to show you what I found online at whitestate.org, which is her writings are put online. And this says, it drew my attention because it says, believers should plan to leave cities as the way opens. I'll read it to you. It says, more and more, as time advances, our people will have to leave the cities. For years, we have been instructed that our brethren and sisters, and especially families with children, should plan to leave the cities as the way opens before them to do so. Many will have to labor earnestly to help open the way. But until it is possible for them to leave, so long as they remain, they should be most active in doing missionary work, however limited their sphere of influence may be, as they yield their talents and their all to God to be used as He may direct, as they live out their consecration by engaging in practical missionary work wherever opportunity affords. God will bless them with wisdom and discretion, and in His own way and time, He will make it possible for them to place themselves where they will not be surrounded constantly with the contaminating influences of modern city life. This attracted me was because I saw a video the other day by another YouTuber. She's a wonderful person, love her channel, love her stuff, but she said something that I have to disagree with. And maybe it's because I'm in the RV community, so I get a lot of people who are going through financial stuff. But she said this was not a good time to buy property, to buy homes, okay? So maybe I misunderstood her. But I will tell you this, if you are living in the city, if you are living in a condo, if you're living in places like that, and if you can sell, I would sell those. I'd get rid of those. I do not want to be in those, okay? Most likely, you're going to cover the expenses every month and a little bit more to cushion yourself because insurance and taxes are going up. And whatever else they want to throw at us, always cushion yourself with a little bit more. If you can buy land, or even if you think you're going to end up in foreclosure. Now, I'm not one to say that it's okay to go through foreclosure, but if you think that you're going to need to go through foreclosure because there's just no way out, and you still have equity in your house, and before you get to the foreclosure, you can pull out equity to get another loan or whatever, to buy a property. I'm going to say land is what you should be buying, okay? Not a house. And don't buy anything with a house on it unless it's super, super cheap. Sometimes you'll find properties with land and the house is like ready for like demolition. That's okay. You can demolish that house and live there with an RV or a tiny house in the future. I will tell you this though, financing a tiny house is really, really hard. You do have to put a big down payment on something like that because they take a lot of risk. So if you think, you're going to go in there and buy a tiny house, unless you got really good credit and 10% down, it's going to be really hard for you. You may have to buy a shed and do it yourself, like one of these shed builds. There's lots of videos on that. I did one early in my channel that showed you this great little shed that was at Lowe's. It's got like 500,000 views almost. I think it was 400,000 views for that video. So, and then after that, a lot of channels started posting shed type, homes. So if you can get away from the cities and find yourself a country property. I'm not talking about way in the woods or anything like that. If that's what you feel comfortable, that's fine. But you could be just out in the country itself where you are not in those violent places that are going to get violent. It's going to get worse. People are going to start getting mad and they're going to start taking it out on their environment, okay? I read you that scripture and this was from Ellen, I think it was Ellen G. White. I just came across her writings and I just found out about her. And some of her writings are really beautiful and she was said to have some like a prophetic gift. And I see how some of her writings are very, very, very smart. And only God, I'm telling you, God led me to her because I'm reading some of her things and I think that they're also perfect for this time. So that's why I'm reading this to you so that you can see what I'm talking about. And then this video showed up on my channel and then, things started happening. I've done a lot of videos on my channel about buying land and I've been talking for years, and the powers that be in the RV community have always tried to steer you away from that. But I'll be honest with you, your land is your land. Now, you have to be careful because if you have an RV or something like that, you're not going to be able to get in. You could use the excuse that you are building in the future, whatever it is. I mean, even if you buy the piece of land and you end up being there only 2 or 3 years, at least you know that you're going to be safe on that land. You always, if something happens, trust me, the city ain't going to come after you for a while. Like COVID came. You think they were out there like trying to give people like zoning regulations and things like that because they had an RV park there and they were going to build a house eventually? I mean, come on, really? Unless you got some neighbors, and try to get away from neighbors with pretty houses because those are usually the ones that are going to cause you a problem. So stay away from those kind of areas, the suburban type of areas where there's going to be restrictions. Get out. I'm talking about the deep country, back country, things like that you can really get out into. Now remember, you're not going to have hospitals. There's not going to be no police nearby. So security is going to be in your hands in times like this because it takes a long time for police and fire to get out to your property. So remember, you have to remember those things as well. And I'll do more talking about this as I bring you along my journey of semi-operate. Now, God brought me to this property years ago, and I know from my heart this property was specifically chosen for me because I traveled through Fort Myers and Naples. I made several offers in houses in Naples because it was 2 hours from Miami, and I didn't want to be that far from my family because I had a child with me. So I thought 2 hours is not bad. I can handle the 2 hours, and nothing happened. Then I moved up to Fort Myers, made offers there, nothing happened. Then I went up to Northport. I waited in Northport for a couple of months on a property I had a contract with, and I thought that one was going to be the one, and guess what? Didn't happen either. And then I moved up to Ocala, and then I started looking up in Ocala. So you see where the hurricane came and destroyed the houses in Naples, Northport, Fort Myers, Sanibel, all of those areas were the areas where I was supposed to be buying, because those areas were, the farthest was 3 hours from my family. So as you can see, now I look back and I say, wow, thank you, God, because I would have been one of those ones that my house would have been destroyed, or I would be out there in my RV. Oops. I want to hit the police officer. And I'm going to do a drop off here for a donation, so I'll be right back. You do not want to be, by the way, in places like that. And that's what happened when now with this hurricane, and I realized that God spared me, because he put me in the right place in Central Florida, where we don't hardly have big hurricanes like that. Give me 1 second. All right, so I dropped off my donation. The bigger the house, the worse for you, because you're going to have to heat and cool that house. And remember, heating and cooling is getting more expensive. Try to be in an area that you can live in. So in other words, if you can't do the snow blower, you know, you don't want to be going outside with a snow blower. You don't want to have to be buying cords of wood and things like that, because it's getting expensive. Don't go to live in places like that. Move out of places like that. This is why I'm in Florida, because, you know, I've been obsessed watching Alaska shows and videos lately from a whole bunch of people from Alaska, because that's where I'm planning on going, is my next trip. My next big trip is going to be to Alaska. But that's not the case. I just love Alaska. It's some place that I really want to go. And years ago, I don't know if you guys know this, but when I was in high school, I applied to get a they were looking for Hispanic people to give scholarships to, and that's where I wanted to go. I applied to the University of Fairbanks, and my parents would say no, I couldn't go there. Well, I got rebellious after that and ruined my life, but that's where I wanted to go. I wanted to go to Alaska. I don't know why, don't ask me why, because I'm a warm weather girl, but there's something about Alaska. I might end up in Alaska someday. Who knows? I don't know. I just know that there's a calling for me and a connection with Alaska. But anyway, so I've been watching a lot of these off-grid shows, and those kind of lifestyles are great for certain people, but they don't work for everybody. So you have to go to an environment that you can handle, and you can handle. It's costly over there. The food is costly. You don't get bananas. You don't get mangoes. You don't get things. If you're a fruit type of person like me, and you really like to eat fruit every week, you ain't gonna find that there. So it's gonna be hard for you. You have to go to the places where you know. So don't try to copy anybody on YouTube. Don't try to do, just because you're watching videos of Alaska doesn't mean you can handle that. Just because some people have 20-acre farms doesn't mean you can handle that. Just because some people can have hogs doesn't mean you should get some hogs and grow them. This is another thing that God is leading me to. There are things that I will not do on my homestead, okay? I got chickens. Chickens are fine. I got that. And I got some plans coming up, but I want to make sure that it's the right plans from God before I reveal them to all of you about self-sustainability on living on property. It has to do with finances and things like that. I will bring that to you in the future, closer to December, I think, as things start to be revealed to me to go ahead with the process. So what I want to say is that you need to, let me see here, I'm trying to get gas, because I'm low. How low can you go? How low can you go? I'm low, I can't go anymore. Gotta get gas. See, you're not bad gas. Sorry about that. I get to get my gas. I'm not filling up all the way. I got a lot of containers at home. I got all my containers at home full, and I'm only putting, I'm pretty much full to the top. I didn't go all the way to the top, but it's close enough. So I put $40 in there. I'm not going out a lot, and when I do, I just go around town and do my stuff. I'm doing a lot of online ordering, because when you go in little towns like this, there's nothing. There's no store. A lot of businesses are out of business, and the only thing you got is Walmart. And then you go to Walmart and they don't have stuff. Like I went to buy some canning stuff this week. They don't have it at Walmart. So now I have to go to I'm going to pick up an order online at Walmart, because it wasn't enough to get me up. But that's okay. I got to do some stuff, so that's been out of the house for a little bit. So this is what I'm trying to say is, if you can buy an RV, if you can buy a used RV. By the way, I'm selling my Airstream if you're interested. somewhere where you're going to be safe. And it doesn't matter the size, it doesn't matter anything. Learn to live off the grid. I'm not kidding you. Learn to live off the grid. This is what God showed me. He said, learn to live off the grid. I had to acclimate myself to the weather in my property and in my state this summer. And I'm also acclimating myself to the cold as well. Not only that, because I'm also going to be visiting Alaska. So I'm trying to suck it up, buttercup, and just deal with it and really stop focusing on not being comfortable. That we are a society that we're always focused on being comfortable all the time, especially me. I'm like always looking to be comfortable. And that's not the case. That's not the case. We just have to really focus on living and surviving. And once we know how to do that, then we can enjoy the comforts. And that's the way that I think, living and surviving first. The comforts come later. Right now, it's like the comforts are above everything else. No, it can't be like that. So I will break all those things down to you in my video. It's going to be several weeks, and I'll be talking about different aspects of off-grid living, because that's how I live in my RV. And a lot of those things I'm implementing in these lessons that God is bringing me so that I can make choices in my life. And a lot of the things that I'm doing now, like I talked about a few videos ago, everything that I'm doing, everything that surrounds my life, how I think, what I do, has to do with moments of reflection. Because if I was so used to doing things a certain way, now I look at them and I say, why am I doing that this way? Why am I doing this? Why am I going to this store? Why do I go to this store? Why do I pay for that membership? Why am I paying for this? Why am I paying? And I change things, and I'm doing all of those things. This is why you don't see me posting a lot, because there's so many things, aspects of my life that I'm changing behind the scenes, and they take time. They take a lot of time. So I hope that this video helps you a little bit to understand that you need to be. What's important for you and your family is to be safe. The size of the house doesn't matter. This could be a fun learning experience. Your children also need to learn this, because life is not always pretty. It's not always perfect. We go through things in life. The important thing is for you all to be together and to be safe. And if you have to buy a piece of land doesn't devalue as quickly as a home on land, okay? So if you're planning on being in that land for 10 to 20 years, and this is the other thing I want to talk to you about, because God is also showing me this. We live in a mentality world that we're always following the dollar. That's why we're not in the right place that we want to live in, okay? If you love to live in the country, make it happen. Go to live in the country. Figure out how you can find work in the country area, or some place that's not too country and too rural, but country enough. Like where I live. I live in the country, but where I live in the country, it's not so rural, that I can't get to a Walmart in like 8 miles. I'm in a Walmart, or I'm in, a supermarket is like 6 miles away, gas stations 3 miles away. So I'm not that rural. I'm rural, but I'm not that rural. And that works for me, you understand? Because I really don't want to be way out in the boonies by myself. I saw properties like that when I was out with my son. I had opportunities to make offers on those type of properties. And there's a lot more to it than what people tell you off-grid, a lot of these channels. And I love their channels, and they're great. And usually it's always 2 adults that are doing this. And that's great. That's awesome. Me, I'm alone. And when I went out there, I was with an 11-year-old kid who had dyslexia. So for me, that was not going to be safe. I didn't have a gun back then, and I know that there could be wild animals in the area, the places that the real estate agent took me to. And I'd go there. I didn't even look at the house. I'm like, no, this does not work for me. So I just knew God was guiding me for 6 months, and finally I'm in the place that I feel comfortable, and I really enjoy where I live, and I'm building it up, and I don't plan on leaving there. If I do decide to go somewhere else where there is snow at some point in my life, further north, maybe Alaska, I'll get a cabin off-grid and do that, 3 months out of the year. Enjoy my quiet time or whatever. But that's it for me. I don't see myself leaving from here, at least, unless God has another plan for me. So that's why I'm trying to build it up. So this is the thing he's trying to show me, that people in the old days, they built up their homestead. They were there for years, and the children would end up with the homestead over time. And they knew how to run the place, and they knew everything about it. The were already prepared and all of this, you know? So every time you're moving, you're starting again. You're remodeling another house. Yeah, you made some money, and then you went to the next one and you remodeled again. You're spending all your time remodeling, making things pretty, and you don't have anything. You don't have a garden. You don't have chickens. You don't have a coop. You don't have things that are going to sustain you and your children over time. You need to stop moving and find a place that works for both of you, and learn and teach your children, because they're not going to do it at the school. They're not going to teach you how to can. They're not going to teach you how to harvest. They're not going to teach you how to make butter from milk. They're not going to teach you how to skin a chicken and pull its feathers. They're not going to teach you none of that. So part of your homeschool also, as a family, is to bring this into your science subject, is teach your kids, or have them watch chicken videos, go to the store, or go to a farm and buy a chicken, bring it home and process it when they're older, and teach them these things. These are skills that they should know. You know, you don't have to be in a rural country to skin a chicken. You can still do this stuff. You know, this is something that I'm going to be doing now. So I'm realizing, you know what, I got to get off the system. And one way to get off the system is to start to realize that there's a lot of farmers in my area. There's a lot of free-range food, people that sell it. There's half a cows, and there's a quarter cows, and there's places where I can get free-range meat. Yes, it costs a little bit more, but I don't need to eat as much meat. I want to eat healthy, and I want to eat sustainably. And I want to get off of depending on the stores. And because I'm not going to be, I could buy a cow and have a cow in an acre and raise it and do all other things, but there's more to it than that. And that's not what, I don't want to do that right now in my life. Maybe in the future I'll decide to do that, but at this point in my life I don't want to. So why am I not going to help other farmers and give them my dollars? They keep giving my dollars in beef to Walmart or Sam's Club or things like that. Why not give it to another family? They got mortgages on their farms. We need to be able to help them. And there's a lot of places online where you can find, you can find new picks. You can drive out to those, and you can come back and can all that stuff, because they sell it to you in bulk. You can buy apples, and you can buy so many things in bulk, and then come back and can it. Use that as a learning lesson for your kids also homesteading, science or whatever. And teach them these things. These are skills that you need to do, because the school system is not going to do it. And really focus on the true values of family and self-sustainability, remembering always that self doesn't mean by yourself. It means a family unit, and that is God first within the family always. So self-reliance, self-sustainable is self in alignment with God always. And I hope that if you are somebody that's on the fence about buying a piece of land, now remember, don't just go out and buy any crap that's out there of land, okay? Because you can get into a lot of trouble and lose a lot of money. Do your diligence in searching for land. Buy something where you can have some water, you can build on. Remember what I said? I said this in some of my land videos. The minute that you buy land and you put water and electric on it, the value goes up tremendously. So even if you bought it and the market goes down, but you invested and put money into it, and you're going to stay in it for a while. They say stay 5 to 10 years. I'm telling you, minimum at least. You plan on keeping it, you should be able to be fine financially after something like that. Now, I'm not a financial planner. I'm not giving you planning advice or financial advice or anything like that. That each person has to decide for themselves according to the area and the markets that they're buying. But safety is always first. And if you don't feel safe in a city, please get out, because God doesn't want us to be in cities. These were places that were built in order to enslave us, and that's what they've been doing, enslaving us in these type of buildings. And we have to go to work, and we have to take transportation, and it costs us money to go to work. We have to pay transportation to go to work, and we have to pay incredible amounts of rents in these cities for these buildings and stuff like that. And it's all been set up for us always to produce for the rich people, and that's not the case. We should be building our own So with that said, I thank you so much for watching. I'm going to stop here at the thrift store and take a look and see if there's any canning stuff here that's cheap. And I will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Hey, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.